Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the works of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Government is keen on having safer communities by dismantling criminal enterprises and is one step closer to this goal with the ongoing capacity building workshop being held by the U.S. Department of State, Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, and the National Center for State Courts. Government intends to target the proceeds of criminal activities to fight against the organized crime, money laundering, and countering the financing of terrorism.
This is one component that admittedly has not been the subject of the type of focus that it should have been over the years. And the time has come for us to change that. Our government is committed to moving in this direction.
Over 3,500 families in Region 8 will now have more disposable income, as in excess of $88 million is being distributed to every household in the region. The money being handed out is under the one-off $25,000 cash grant for households in the hinterland and the riverine communities to foster economic upliftment in these areas.
This is an effort to relieve the level of cost of living burden. It's not going to eradicate it. It's not going to overcome this major challenge our country is facing, but we believe that we have to make an effort.
Consultation for the amendment of Guyana's existing public health legislation is ongoing. Addressing stakeholders at Duke Lodge, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony acknowledged that this significant move by the government is to ensure the country's law protect its citizens' right in wake of the evolution of the public health system.
So it's not only trying to create redress for the outdated legislation of the past, but we want something that is going to be updated, current, and look forward to the future, because you don't want the legislation to be that static that after you've gone through the legislative process, and that can take a little while, after you've gone through that process, you recognize that it's outdated. So we have to make sure that it has that forward-looking, futuristic kind of looking, so that we are able to address new things that would be coming up.
The Suicide Prevention Bill 2022 that was presented in the National Assembly intends to boost the current suicide prevention efforts. The bill is one of several legislative amendments in the health sector that will improve service delivery locally.
This is a bill that we have been working on for some time, and that is, it encompasses things that we can do to prevent suicide from happening. And the bill also provides for the repeal of a section of our law that criminalizes persons who attempt suicide. So this has been something that people have been advocating for a long time, to remove that section of our law. So this bill, once we pass it, would help to repeal that section.
The ministry has also been training local primary health care workers to detect depression in persons who access services.
We need to put an effective program in place so that we can detect depression, treat depression, and prevent suicide from happening. And we need more partnerships, more people in the community that can act as a safety net for persons who might be vulnerable to depression and things like that. So if we have stronger community relations, stronger community leadership, then it can help us to identify these persons who are vulnerable and work with us to give them the kind of support they would need during this period of vulnerability.
A total of 8 opposition members of parliament were on Friday suspended, as was recommended by the Committee of Privileges. The report of the committee was passed in the National Assembly. Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, Gail Teixeira, moved the motion.
I totally support the recommendations of the committee of which I was a part of which you chaired, and I want to ask the members of the opposition to please accept the recommendations with dignity and remorse, and let's get on with the business of this House.
Handing down his ruling, Speaker of the National Assembly, Manzoor Nadir, said he is convinced that...
And I'm happy to say in this case, my discretion is founded in Constitution, in Convention, and in Commonwealth practices. And so, while I've listened to the Honorable Member, Mr. Ramjatan, I now would have to disagree with him and ask that we proceed with the matter before us.
Over 4,000 residents of Mocha Arcadia, East Bank Demerara, will soon benefit from major infrastructural development as construction of the Barnwell North Access Road is open for tender.
In its commitment and dedication to helping you, has placed that particular road open for tender to be able to get that road done. It's right now. And that will heavily impact not your daily lives in terms of going to school and all of that, but also to the farming communities down at the back.
Minister Mustafa said, like every other community, Mocha will be part of the administration's transformational agenda.
Our job as a government is not only to be in one part of the country or certain parts of the country. So as a government, we want to ensure that the entire country benefit from the resources that we have.
Under the chairmanship of Minister of Public Works, Bishop Juan Edgell, the International Civil Aviation Organization was able to agree to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. The high-level meeting was attended by more than 450 delegates and observers, inclusive of ministers and other high-level officials, both in person and virtually. The minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Indar, also visited ongoing roadworks along the railway embankment, where small contractors are working to complete this project soon. While visiting Parfait Harmony, Minister Indar assured residents that their community will not be left behind.
We have to make some interventions. I'll be walking between myself and the region and NDIA because there is a trench here that is running that way, and that would be north to south. It's vegetation inside, and bushes are at the side as well of the parapet, so we have to deal with that too. I know from the reports further at the back here, cars come and park up in the nights. It's a security issue, right? So we'll have to raise that with the law enforcement agencies to see what they can do to it. And obviously, people are dumping garbage to the extreme ends of the scheme. So it needs a lot of attention. It will draw a lot of resources. So we'll have to look into how we will do the work.
Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa has reassured the nation that government will continue supporting the sugar sector. He said the Albion packaging plant will help return sugar to profitability.
The movement of the plant, and it's public knowledge that the plant will be moved to Albion, and we'll have a bigger and much modernized plant at Albion to cater for more production of sugar in Gaisuke. Mr. Speaker, the estimated cost is approximately $1.9 billion for this plant at Albion. And as I said, this will be a modernized plant where we'll be producing and packaging more sugar there, because what we have found out that the packaged sugar is in demand in our country.
Minister Mustafa chaired at the 104th special meeting of the Council for Trade and Economic Development, COTED, and spoke on matters being discussed at the level of the Special Ministerial Task Force, MTF, on food production and food security. Since the establishment of the MTF, Minister Mustafa, who serves as chairperson, has been guiding policy discussions relating to achieving Vision 25 by 2025. Minister of Education, Priya Manikchand, engaged the markers and the table leaders of the National Grade 6 Assessment, where she outlined and reinforced the role of teachers in the process and asked that their efforts produce results that cannot be questioned. Minister Manichand also used the opportunity to hear from teachers what can be done to improve the education sector, particularly at the primary level. As part of government's commitment to ensuring better services reach citizens across Guyana, Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell and Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal spearheaded a meeting with residents of Chatti Margo and the surrounding communities on the east coast Demerara to address their issues.
We do have a massive plan for the east coast Demerara.
Meanwhile, Minister Darmlal reiterated the government's commitment to developing the country.
I hope that today we will be in that position where we can, as mature people, vision how Chatti Margo's success is going to evolve in the next 10, 15 years. The development that we're planning is not development for tomorrow. The development that we're planning is the development that will take us into generations.
Some 179 residents of Linden and 50 from Kokwani Region 10 will soon benefit from training in a number of areas, including welding and fabrication, building construction, electrical installation and agro-processing, among other courses. These courses are being offered through the Board of Industrial Training, BIT, under the Skills for Job Training Program, which was launched in the region on July 18. The 4-month program is aimed at filling the demands for skilled, qualified and certified citizens to develop and boost the country's economy.
We have to manufacture by the hundreds. Welders and fabricators, building contractors to deal with the housing program, electrical installation people who are qualified and certified and recognized and accredited, plumbers, AC technicians, mechanics, at least 6 or 7 skill sets.
More than 1,500 youths nationwide will benefit from key swimming techniques over the next 4 weeks as government opened the Teach Them Young program at the National Aquatic Center, themed Learn to Swim.
This is the vision of His Excellency the President, where we are focusing on building the One Guyana family. We're focused on building families, and we're both focusing on building all of our talents where we can take it to the highest possible level, but we're doing it in a partnership in a framework of partnership with the sports associations, partnership with families, partnership with communities, partnership with all of the folks who are interested in taking our country forward.
Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for public affairs, Kwame McCoy, attended a training workshop for local media practitioners.
We have been placing a lot of emphasis on training in media communication skills because it is absolutely important for us to first of all, build on what we have, the existing core of media professionals, and to expand, to sustain and expand what we have.
Housing and Water Minister Colin Crowell announced the investment of over $100 billion over the next 3 years to meet the demand for housing for Guyanese. He was speaking at the opening of the International Building Expo 2022.
During this event, we will be allocating a further 5,000 house lots in new blocks in Great Diamond, Plantation, Great Diamond, Grove, Metamerzark on the West Coast, Stewartville, Nonpareil, Enterprise on the East Coast.
Guyana is on an upward trajectory, with its brightest days still ahead. Our government was elected on a manifesto, and from the moment we assumed office, we have been laser focused on implementing every single commitment contained therein.
The Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce took its Small Business Development Initiative to Buxton, and residents took the opportunity to sign up for small business loans to grow their businesses.
This is for business development. And business development speaks to you having a business, being able to
support you with that business so that your business can grow, so that you don't need next year, you don't need to come for a business grant, that you're going to be the one employing people.
Meanwhile, Minister McCoy assured the residents that government is committed to working towards citizen empowerment and assisting them in their business development.
We are looking forward to working with you and to make sure that we can work in a way that have us in a win-win situation where the people of Buxton Friendship can grow economically, and we as a society can benefit from the growth of those who reside and who are participants of business in the Buxton Friendship area.
With the opening of a new US $1 million Answer McCall Trading Limited mini-mart, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Onij Walron, has called for local products to also be prominent on the shelves of the business entity.
And so this is all being part of a strategy and development, a strategy for people, for the private sector to thrive and for people to have access, more disposable income and access to resources like these.
That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and our social media platforms. Goodbye.